4 decades after the federal government established special education services for students with disabilities, school districts around the country are still trying to live up to the law.
It's really expensive to have them go for therapies.
Parents should really brace for extra challenges if they want their child to study because of limited facilities and teachers.
Can I bring my child who has a disability here? The headmaster would probably tell you, I'm willing, but the infrastructure is lacking.
In a world where every mind is unique, learning should be an opportunity for all, not a challenge for some. Learning disabilities are neurological disorders that affect an individual's ability to process, store, and produce information. These disabilities are not related to intelligence, but rather to differences in how the brain processes information. They can impact various areas of learning, including reading, writing, mathematics, and comprehension. Here's a closer look at some common types of learning disabilities. Dyslexia is a highly genetic learning disorder that primarily affects an individual's ability to read and write. The parts of the brain responsible for processing and remembering information are in the Broca's area, which is part of the frontal lobe and is responsible for organization, production, and manipulation of language. The parietal lobe, which is located at the far back of the brain, is responsible for linking spoken and written language to memory. The temporal lobe at the lower part of the brain is involved in verbal memory, and lastly, the occipital lobe, which is located in the back of the head, is responsible for the identification of letters. It is mainly the left parieto-temporal system involved in word analysis and the left occipito-temporal system responsible for automatic interpretation of words and reading that are affected by dyslexia. Additionally, studies have shown that brains of dyslexic individuals often have symmetrical hemispheres, or the right hemisphere is larger than the left hemisphere, which is different from non-dyslexic individuals where the left hemisphere is usually larger than the right. Another common learning disability is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD, which is a medical condition including attention difficulty, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. The exact origins for this condition are unknown, but research suggests that it is a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Structurally, studies have shown that people with ADHD have smaller brain volume in certain areas of the brain that are concerned with emotional response and impulse control. For many children with ADHD, their frontal lobes, which are involved with decision-making, focus, and planning, develop later in their lives. They may also have changes in blood flow to the prefrontal area, leading to less brain function in that place. Additionally, the neurotransmitters carrying messages may be in different concentrations. Dopamine and noradrenaline are the neurotransmitters most closely associated with ADHD. Most children with ADHD have an imbalance in their dopamine system. They may not have enough dopamine or enough receptors for it. Autism spectrum disorder is a developmental condition that affects the way people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. It varies widely in range and severity for different people, which is why it is referred to as a spectrum disorder. A big difference between ASD brains and unaffected brains is functional connectivity. Individuals with autism typically show patterns of short-range overconnectivity and long-range underconnectivity.
Let's start with just what is assistive technology.
Yeah, so assistive technology is any tool, program, or software device that helps facilitate learning for all learners in all ages.
And Stephanie,
assistive technology is essential in order to provide quality education for differently abled children.
We've kind of seen the whole realm of different disabilities and different tech, from low tech all the way to high tech. And it varies, it's very individualized based on the student's needs. So just a quick overview for if we have a student who's having difficulty communicating, we might use an augmentative alternative communication. And again, it varies from low to high tech. So that could be a core board, using visual supports, all the way up to giving them an iPad with a vocabulary app that has all the words at their fingertips.
Unfortunately, it is not accessible to all.
If you just put a student in a classroom that a teacher is not prepared for, they can't support that student and it will fail miserably. And it's
so you look at a family that on top of it has a child with a disability. There's zero money to get assisted technology.
With all these, still there are children with severe difficulties. It could be because of their disability or their conditions, or some socio-economic issue, cultural barriers and issues.
As you can see, there are several gaps in the accessibility of assistive technology that hinder differently abled children from reaching their full potential. But there is still hope. Recently, there has been an increased focus on making assistive technology affordable for all.
The majority of approaches are concentrated on two facets: creating open source software and hardware, and using parts that are readily available and inexpensive. Many research teams developing affordable assistive technology have also focused on using parts and components that are easy to find, such as Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. For example, one team from the University of Toronto utilized Arduino to create affordable lab-assisted technology, so all students can receive quality STEM education. The team created a text-to-speech sensor hub called the Multi-Purpose Universal Chemistry Sensor Hub, which uses Arduino sensors to convert the values from pH electrodes and thermocouples to speech. Through the use of Arduino components, the cost of the assistive technology was only $200 to $300, affordable in comparison to the thousands it usually costs for lab-assisted technology. Another team from the Illinois Institute of Technology created affordable, augmentative, and alternative communication devices, or AACs, which can help those with speech disorders express themselves. The team primarily utilized Raspberry Pi and other common off-the-shelf parts, such as USB hubs and casing, to assemble an inexpensive, portable AAC, which can especially be used by those with autism, bringing costs down to less than $150. Yet another researcher from the University of Ottawa created a low-cost social companion robot to help those with ADHD and autism. The robot was made more affordable with a microcontroller, Raspberry Pi parts, and an Amazon Alexa API.
In the future, we must step up and introduce more affordable assistive technologies, as well as strengthen legislation such as the IDEA Act to better support low-income students.
The Read for Rose children are at camp all week long with all the other kids, and I think that has been what's been most beautiful about that program. As much as
you do start to see progress, you see these kids engaged in the classroom, you see them learning.